Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Syed Jaffrey, and today we will be talking about data flows. Data flows in the Power Apps, where the dataverse data flows, you can use it for your ETL function. It is a really powerful tool I use a lot when I need to import the data into the dataverse. So you have a lot of connector available, out-of-box connector. You can connect to the SQL Server, MySQL. You can pull the data from Excel, SharePoint list, and you can use the ODBC connection. You can connect to your or SQL Server. You can connect to the gateway, and through the gateway you can load the data into the data flows. And from data flows you can transform the data and export it, bring the data into the dataverse. You can schedule the jobs that you can run it every day, every hour. So there's a lot of flexibility, and once you are in the data flows, you will feel the same Power Query interface. So you can do all the transformation there. So it's easy to use if you have experience using a Power BI data sets in the Power BI. So you will be very easily can manage the data flows. So let's start. But before we start, here is the intro. Okay, so let's start creating a data flows in Power Apps. So you have to come to the Power Apps site, make.powerapps.com, and on the left navigation menu you can see the Dataverse option. So click on Dataverse and you can see the data flows here. So once you open the data flows, you won't see any data flows unless you already created. So if you have, you can see existing data flows. Otherwise it's going to come up with the screen, you haven't created any data flows yet. Create a data flow. You can create from here, or you can go new data flow. Once you click here, you're going to have two options. So same options here, same option you can find here. And you can either use the import template, it's in a preview mode, or you can use start from blank. So we are not going to create a template, and we will use from scratch. So once you click on this one, you have to provide the name. I'm going to give the name import financial sample data. So I do have a SharePoint list that already contains the data that I want to bring into my dataverse. So I'm going to use this data flows method. Create, and now you can see all the connectors are available. You do have option. You can connect to the Excel workbook. You can connect to the MySQL. You can connect to the SQL Server. Once you will choose the SQL Server, MySQL, you do have an option to you can use the gateway as well. And you do connect through the ODBC connection. So there's a lot of connectors available. If you don't have anything here, you do have another option. For example, you have a Power BI and you already created a Power Query. You can get the query from there and just use the blank query method and put your query into this blank query, and you're going to get the same result that you have in your Power BI. So in this method, we're going to use the SharePoint online list. Okay, so you need to click on the SharePoint online list, provide the URL. So if you like, I have a Digital 5S Technologies URL, I'll just grab from there and I'll paste it here. I already have a connection that is going through the Microsoft account, but if you don't have any connection, it's going to look like that. So it's going to ask you the connection name and provide the authentication method. So there are the anonymous or the Microsoft account. And if you're not signed in, you just click on the sign in, and then you will be able to establish a connection. So I'm going to use the existing one. And once I will click, it's going to bring all the SharePoint lists that I have on my SharePoint site. So you can see that all the lists are here, and I'm looking for the financial sample, the data that I have. So once I will click, I can see I can choose the multiple SharePoint list. And from there I can do some merge, or we can append the data into each other, like in combined tables. So the same experience that you have in a Power BI when you create a Power Query, you can have the same thing. Okay, so if I click next here, so I pick the financial sample, click next. And now you will get all the rows and the columns. Now in the next step, I'm just going to pick the columns that I needed. I don't need all the columns. So the best practice is that you just pick the column that you needed and remove the other column. So in future, if somebody added in the SharePoint list a new column, it's going to be automatically excluded from your data model. So you don't have to worry about, and it's not going to crash your data model. So I need a title column, I need a country, product, I don't need a discount band. I'll pick the units sold, manufacturing price, sale price, gross sale. I don't need the discount. Let's pick the discount, and I'm gonna grab the date column, and I will grab the ID column as well. So I do have a date column, and I needed the ID column. So C should be the start. So there is ID column. So these are the columns that I needed. I don't need this column. And what I will do, I will right click on this and remove other columns. So once I click, it's gonna just keep the columns that I needed. So I need the ID, title, country, product, unit sold, manufacturing price, sale price, gross sale, discount, and date. Now I can change the data types here. I'll pick this one is a text. The country is text. Like there is an option, for example, if you have a lookup column, you can bring the other data models here and do the lookup, and you can bring the data into the dataverse table. In this example, we are just a standard text columns, and in the future videos, I will show you how you can call the lookups values here. So text unit sold is going to be a decimal number, because I do see some decimals here. Okay, this decimal. And the rest is, the last one is a whole number, date is date, time, and the rest are kind of currency. So we'll pick currency column on those. So discount currency, and this one is also a currency. And the last column is a manufacturing price. It's also currency. So we covered everything in 4 steps. So one is the source, that is SharePoint list, and then it's navigating the source is a SharePoint site, and the navigation is a SharePoint list that we picked, and we remove the column and we change the data type. So now we have all the data here that we are looking for. There are many rows. It's showing right now 99, but if I will scroll down, it's going to keep adding and showing that how many rows here. But we don't have to worry about it at this point. We'll go to the next. Now in this one, we have an option. Either we can load into a new table. So it's going to be creating a new table, keep the name of this one, or you can load into the existing. The third option is do not load. So the reason is that there is a do not load. So maybe you have 3 data models here, and you don't want to load 2 out of 3. So you can choose those one and check that you do not load it. And the rest one, the one you want to load it, you can either load as a new table or existing. So I'm going to load into the existing. I already have the table, so I'm going to show you how you can map those columns when you're loading into the existing table. Now in this one, I have to provide the name, so it will be Digital 5's sample. So Digital 5 is the publisher, and the financial sample is the name of the table. Now if you notice that these are the columns that are in the table, and now you can map those columns. You can provide the source column, and this is the destination column. So I need a country, so I do have a country here. Date, I can pick the date, discount, gross sale. Column name could be different on your table and the data that is coming, so either you can change the column name on your data model, or if you know that what you need to map, you can just pick the right one. I'm going to map the ID with the ID, manufacturing price, product, sale price, title, and unit sold. Okay, so I mapped all the columns that I needed. There's an option delete rows that no longer exist in the query. So if you're rendering the data from the SharePoint list and somebody removed it, or you removed it, some rows from there, so you can check this box and it's going to remove from, and you will import into the dataverse table. Click next. Now here you have an option. You can refresh manually and send the failure notification to the data flow owner, or you can schedule automatically. So if I want to update my data every day or every minute or every hour, I can pick it. So if I say okay, refresh F1, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and a month. So you do have an option. I can say, okay, I want to do once a day, and I can provide the start date and the time. And time is in the UTC, so it's showing it's like at 6:30. Or you can refresh on a specific day and time, and again send the failure notification to the owner. So this time I'm just going to do the refresh because of one-time import, but you can schedule it if it's required, and publish. Now it will start loading the data. So this is the data flow that I just created. So it says publish in progress. So as soon as it's done, it's going to start loading the data, and it will show once the data is uploaded that either it's successful. So you notice that it's refreshing. Last published was on 30th of August, 12:29 p.m. So once it's published, then definitely you can see the data in your data table. So that's how you can create the data flows. So let's go back to the tables and find out that if your data is loaded here or not, because it's successfully completed. The data name is financial sample. Just going to grab this one. We'll go to the data, and it's loading. Okay, so if you notice that it's showing ID and created on, the reason is that that's the view. If you need to change the view, you can just go and just grab more columns in that view, or you can see the all columns over there. I'll show you both options. I'm just going to grab a few columns here quickly. So I will show country. I'm going to show the gross sale and the discount and date. So that's all I want to show. I'll grab this one, date to the start here. Make the ID column a little smaller. We'll publish. So once you publish, it's going to save and publish both. Okay, so once the publish is done, I'll go back and show you. So you can see the data also here in this visual. Let's go back. So when you go to the data, by default, it show your what is your active view. So it's going to show over here. But if you want to see all the data, you can just click on this drop down and say all columns. And then you can see all the columns and all the rows here. So that's how you can create the data flows, create like an ETL and transform your data, load your data into the dataverse. Or you can load into the Azure Data Lake Gen 2 as well if it's exists in your environment. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope that you like this video. Please like and subscribe my channel and stay tuned for my next videos. Thank you.